welcome to today's unboxing. I'm pretty excited for this one. It's honestly been kind of on the back of my mind since I picked up the package. Have to restrain myself from just ripping the dang box open because I wanted to get this in front of you guys. So y'all will see very shortly why I'm excited. So let's enough of my intro yakking. We'll get this thing open, shall we? Now I'm opening this completely cold. I have not opened the box before setting up the camera or anything, so what you see is my reaction as I'm opening it, I should say. You'll also get to see my struggles as I work with the box, which looks like there's already some damage from shipping, so let's see what we got here. Okay, he did send it in parts. Good. All right. So for those who may not have picked up what we're putting down here, I have ordered a couple of goodies in this box. So all these components are meant to add up to two things. One is going to be a Protogen stealth ship. This looks really cool. This actually looks like a piece of a proper stealth ship right here. Love this. Okay, so this is going to add up into a Protogen stealth ship, and the other, well, you all will see in the other unboxing video that I'm going to post, because there are two items in this crate, and you're going to see what's in the other parcel shortly. So folks, when you open the box and you lay out the parts, you'll get this set of assemblies. The component over here is your engine cone, and you have some of the pieces and elements of the hull. And I believe this is a frame section, although I'll need to put this together offline for you guys. And then we also have our small parts here in a separate bag. So when you open this, you'll get all of this in the box, as I showed you. And here you'll have your small bits like the torpedo assembly rail. Interesting note here, it looks like the magazine for the torpedo is actually shaped so that you can take the torpedoes themselves and install them kind of inside, and then you put them into the ship, which is really cool. Did not know you could do that. I just thought the torpedoes would be kind of just by themselves, and that was that. So kind of nice that you can do that, and then you put this in the ship, and there you go. We also have our point defense or PDC cannons. I'm going to try to show this to you because they are black objects in a bag full of black objects, so this may be tough to parse out in the film. Let's take a look at it. There it is. So one of the PDCs is right there. I don't know if that's even going to come through in the camera. Try my best here. Get that isolated. There it is. That barrel looking thing there, that's the point defense cannon, one of the 4 I believe that comes with, unless he put in extras, which would be really cool. And so here we are, got a pile of parts and no written instructions. So bear in mind, if you get one of these, you'll need to look up the YouTube video on how to put this together. The creator's got a link to it in his channel, so I'm going to hop over there, figure out how to put this Amun-Ra pile of coolness together, and then in the magic of video editing, I will snap my fingers and this will all be put together. Hey, future me here. Let's take a look at this rig fully assembled. First thing to note, the creator of the ship, Martin Taichl, included a stand with the Amun-Ra. You see his initials here on the base. Very classy. The example picture he had the Amun-Ra engraved on the bottom. I actually like this a bit better. It's a pretty clean base, just has his initials there, nothing else. Kind of like it. Goes pretty well with the brutalist stealth aesthetic of the ship. Pretty solid center there with the industrial pillar. Styled it pretty nicely, I think. Matches really well with the ship. So commendations to Martin Taichl for that. Now let's take it off the stand. It's pretty snug fit, comes off pretty well, but it's also fairly snug, so you won't have any issues with the stand supporting the stealth ship. I'll close my yap for a moment while you all admire the ship. You all are going to see some gaps in the close-ups here, and I'll talk about a little bit more later, but for the moment, I'll just hush and let you all appreciate it. These do detach, the boarding pods, by the way. I'm not going to mess with them right now because they're relatively finicky. The point defense cannons do move. Turrets move side to side. The barrels do not move up and down. They are fixed. Got some blue tack on the ventral torpedo door there. Again, I'll talk to more of that as we get further along in the review. Trying to keep this 14-inch long ship in the shot. Can get a little tough to do that. Have the space here for the stand. Now I'm going to snap. We've got the torpedo bays deployed, the ventral ones face forward, and the dorsal, the top ones, face backwards, like so. Out of the box, they come painted black. I decided to finish them with a silver gray patina, just in line with what I have seen in some of the freeze frame footage of the torpedoes launching. And you'll notice notice here, we've got the hangar doors open. No miniature Honshu shuttle there, but no big loss. Anyways, with the torpedo doors open, it does look pretty cool. Try to get that in the shot here. So, pros, I think this design captures the look of the Amun-Ra class ships very well. It's got that weird geometric kind of asymmetrical strangeness that is, you see so clearly in the show, right? When they come up in the Expanse, they have that alien aesthetic, and Martin Taichl's model here really captures that well. It just looks really eerie, and I like that. As I understand, Martin's also updated the materials on this as well. So the finish of the 3D printing in the plastic is different on this newer one versus what he has done in the past. So one more reason why I'm glad to share this. That is one of the cons that I'm going to get to, and it is that the doors come in two different varieties, which is they're either too tight or they're too loose. So as you see here, I've got blue tack on the front of this, and it's still pretty loose. Got some blue tack on the bottom there to help it stay. If I didn't have that, this would just fall clean off of the ship. So coming back to the pros of it, I think overall the shape is as accurate as anybody can reasonably expect, given that we really don't get a close view of these ships in a visually clear fashion, unfortunately, which is just kind of what happens when you have a black ship operating in the blackness of space, right? So that said, I think the shapes are really nicely done. I did think that the aft shroud for the drive cone was a little short. It actually ends here in there, but I added some extensions there with some cardstock, kind of give it a little bit more of that Amun-Ra length that makes it look so fierce when you see it in the shots. And yeah, just look at this, really cool. The breaching pods were done really well, so apparently I only got enough to fill all of them except one, which is no big deal. It's kind of interesting to notice that. Torpedo doors trying to come out again. Yeah. Cool. Very glad I have it. So first thing I want to say is props to Martin Taichl for getting this done, and I do want to extend my apologies if I am unintentionally butchering his name, because this is really nicely done, and I think it really does capture the overall kind of quote-unquote eerie look and feel of the Amun-Ra class ships. So bravo to him for not only designing this to look visually like what it should, but also designing the setup in such a way that you can build this at home with the kit that he gives you and do it accurately. So there were some frustrating points that I'll share shortly, but the first I'm going to mention here is that overall I think it is worth the money. At this point I paid about $144 something US for it, so for what you get, it is fairly good. See if I can get this on the stand without making a mess. One of the interesting things about the Amun-Ra class, if you haven't noticed, is that it is a asymmetrical design that is intentional because she is a stealth ship. So the asymmetrical design helps with reducing the radar signature and making the ship harder to identify. It also makes it harder to put on a stand when you're filming an unboxing / review. So again, pros of it, putting it together is relatively straightforward in terms of process. Martin Taichl has a video that shows the broad strokes of how to do it. So no instructions come with the kit, so you'll need to check out the video if you want to know how to assemble it properly. I will put a link to it in the description in case you want to take the plunge and take on the project. It took me about 4 hours in an afternoon to do it, so those of you who are more inclined on these kind of things can probably do it quicker. In any event, it was a relatively sensible setup with how it's designed. Little plastic dowels that come with the kit are what are used to put it together internally, and you just have to follow the steps in the video to make it happen. So overall, I think it's a pretty darn good model, and again, I believe it's very much worth the money. So the cons, well, the first con I think you may have noticed here is that the accessories kind of have a binary fit. If you want to display it with the doors open or the doors closed, the door closed covers can fit a little bit loosely. The same issue can happen with the torpedo doors. They seem to either fit snugly or not at all. There doesn't seem to be anything in between there, so I'd recommend having some blue tack for that. Also during assembly, you may encounter some issues with the plastic dowels that secure the parts together not precisely fitting, so I'd recommend keeping a file nearby so you can adjust the size of the holes or the parts as needed. I had to do that for a couple of the sub-assembly segments for the ship in order to get it all to even work. Without plastic files and blue tack, I'd probably still be working on this now days and days and days and days and days and days after getting it. So yeah, it isn't quite as simple as just opening it up and just putting it together with the stuff you have, but it's not quite as complicated as, say, building it from scratch with like a plastic model kit or something. So, but just do be aware that you will need to probably do some filing, maybe add some blue tack to certain sections of it to get it to come together and stay together. The other flaw I'm going to note is that the edge here didn't quite come out right. Now this isn't a big deal. I'm not going to stand on a podium and shake my fist at the clouds for this. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it is something to note. And when I have the doors in the closed position, it's pretty covered up, so it's not a big deal. And it is a black ship, so not a major concern, but that is one of the casting flaws that I noticed. Not casting, excuse me, one of the 3D printing flaws I noticed when putting this together. Also, when it comes to putting this together, be careful that you watch the video and understand how the pieces fit, because the ship is geometrically asymmetrical. It is very easy to put things together in the wrong order if you have the stuff flipped over. So just bear that in mind when you have it. Make sure that when you follow the instructions in the video that you are minding the direction of the parts when you put it together. And yeah, other than that, all things considered, I'm glad I have it. I think it's a very good representative model of the Amun-Ra class ships, and glad to have it in the mix. Before I close, I do want to take a moment here and kind of show you guys something. So this is a 2020 era Rocinante 3D printed model that I had bought 6 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but you can see 3D printing has come a long way in 6 years. But that's not the objective of what I'm trying to say here. So this is a Rocinante model that is about maybe at the same scale of this. If we assume 100 meters for the length of this, the Amun-Ra from front to back, then this ship would be roughly in scale to the stealth ship. The Roci would be, this ship is slightly smaller than what it should be. This is about 4 inches long. To represent the scale properly, it would be closer to about 5.5, so maybe about a little bit more. But in the scheme of things, it's comparable enough to get my point across here, which is that when you look at this in the show, because of the angles of how the Rossi comes around and how Alex flies the thing, it's very close to the camera, so you don't really get a sense of how big this ship is relative to the Rossi. But yeah, you know, when you look at these side by side and do the math on the relative scale versus the real quote unquote sizes of the ships, you know, 100 meters to 46 meters, wow. Yeah, they really should not have won that fight at the start of the TV series, and you know which fight I'm talking about if you're watching this. So yeah, props to Holden and Alex's flying, because oof, definitely outmatched. And the Pella at this scale would also be about 3 of these, if I'm not mistaken. The Pella's about 300 meters, being a Raptor class MCRN heavy cruiser. So yeah, this versus something that is 3 times longer than this. Yeah, just think about that. There is a fight later on in the Expanse series that puts the Rocinante against the Pella, and because of the distances that you see, it's tough to get a sense of the scale. But when you consider the size of the Pella and the size of the little itty bitty Rossi, yeah, it puts things in perspective, doesn't it? So, well, the feline commander of the household has spoken, and it's time for me to sign off. So thank you all for tuning in, and for those of you who have subscribed, both me and our lovely feline pet here, thank you for joining my channel. Stay tuned for more content coming down the line, because this will not be the last 3D printed Expanse ship that I bring into my collection. We'll catch you all in the next one.